Jalebis. Who doesn't like jalebis? You and I, everyone around here has grown up eating this Indian syrupy sweet. Today's lesson is also on jalebis, where a schoolboy learns an important lesson of life in a very hard way, unlike the sweet jalebis. This story is about a schoolboy who spends his fees money on eating jalebis. He was so tempted that instead of thinking about the future consequences, he takes this decision. But after doing this, he faces a big problem. This story is originally in Urdu and it has been translated by Sufia Pathan. Let's read the story and do the question answers at the end of this session. But before we begin, let's know something about its author. Ahmad Nadeem Kazmi, born as Ahmad Shah Awan on 20th November 1916 in Anga village of Pakistan. He was an Urdu language Pakistani poet, journalist, literary critic, dramatist, and short story author. He was also an editor and publisher of the literary magazine Funoon for almost 50 years. He received awards such as the Pride of Performance in 1968 and Sitara-e-Imtiaz in 1980 for his literary work. He died on 10th July 2006, aged 89 in Lahore, Pakistan. The story is taken from his Urdu collection, which is translated by Sufia Pathan in English and brought to you in this book. An honest boy is on his way to school carrying money in his pocket to pay the school fees. The sight of crisp, syrupy jalebis in the market excites him and the coins in his pocket begin to jingle. Jingle is a light ringing sound made by metal objects. After a long debate with himself, he yields to the sweet temptation. Yields to means surrenders to. It happened many years ago. I was in the 5th standard at the government school Kambalpur, now called Atak. One day, I went to school with 4 rupees in my pocket to pay the school fees and the fund. When I got there, I found that the teacher who collected the fees, Master Ghulam Muhammad, was on leave, and so the fees would be collected the next day. All through the day, the coins simply sat in my pocket. But once school got over and I was outside, they began to speak. All right, coins don't talk. They jingle or go khanak khanak. But I'm telling you, that day they actually spoke. One coin said, "What are you thinking about? Those fresh hot jalebis coming out of the kadhao in the shop over there?" A kadhao is a large open pot for cooking or boiling. They are not coming out for nothing. Jalebis are meant to be eaten, and only those with money in their pocket can eat them. And money isn't for nothing. Money is meant to be spent, and only they spend it who like jalebis. This is a story of a schoolboy who was studying in class 5th in a government school of Kambalpur, which is now called as Atak. And one day he went to the school with 4 rupees in his pocket because he had to pay his school fees. But that day, the teacher who collected the fees, Master Ghulam Muhammad, was on leave, and so it was announced that the fees will be collected the next day. When the school was over, the coins started to speak. Now coins don't speak, they just jingle. But this time, they were speaking. One of them suggested that this money should be spent on hot jalebis which were coming out of a kadhai or a cooking pot in the shop over there. Now let's see how the narrator reacts to this. "Look here, you 4 rupees, I said to them. I'm a good boy. Don't misguide me." Misguide means mislead, or it won't be good for you. I get so much at home that I consider even looking at something in the bazaar a sin. Besides, you are my fees and fund money. If I spend you today, then how shall I show my face to Master Ghulam Muhammad in school tomorrow? And after that, to Allah Mia. Allah Mia is the god of Muslims. At Qayamat. Qayamat is the judgment day. You probably don't know it, but when Master Ghulam Muhammad gets angry and makes you stand on the bench, he simply forgets to let you sit till the last bell rings. So, it's best you stop chewing at my ears. Chewing at my ears is an idiom which means talk continuously. Like this, and let me go home straight. The coins disliked what I had said so much that all of them began to speak at the same time. There was such a clamor. Clamor means loud noise, that passers-by in the bazaar stared, eyes wide with surprise, at me and my pocket. The coin of those days, the wretched thing, wretched means terrible, made so much more noise too. Finally, in a panic, I grabbed all four of them and held them tight in my fist, and then they were silent. The schoolboy did not take the coin suggestion very positively. He was not happy with this because he knew that if Master Ghulam Muhammad did not get the fees the next day, then he will punish him and make him stand on the bench. More than this, he was from a well-to-do family. So the boy never thought of buying anything from the bazaar and spending money on his own. And also, the money which was in his pocket was of his fees and fund money. So he did not want to spend it on jalebis and then get punished the next day. Since the boy did not agree to the coin suggestions, they all started to speak at the same time, and they made so much of noise that the passers-by could hear the noise, and they looked at the boy in big surprise. Finally, on being fed up, the boy grabbed all the coins tightly so that they were all quiet. After taking a few steps, I loosened my grip. Immediately, the oldest coin said, "Here we are trying to tell you something for your own good, and you try to strangle us instead." Strangle means suppress. Tell me honestly now, don't you feel like eating those hot jalebis? And then, if you do end up spending us for today, won't you get the scholarship money tomorrow? Sweets with the fees money, fees with the scholarship money. End of story. Kissa khatam, paisa hazam. Kissa khatam, paisa hazam means end of story. It literally means the story ends and money disappears. What you're saying isn't right, I replied, but it isn't that wrong either. Listen, stop blabbering. Blabbering means talking confusedly. And let me think. I'm not a common sort of a boy. But then these jalebis are no common sort of jalebis either. They are crisp, fresh, and full of sweet syrup. My mouth watered, but I wasn't about to be swept away so easily. In school, I was among the most promising students. In the 4th standard exams, I had even won a scholarship of 4 rupees a month. Besides, I came from a particularly well-to-do family, so I enjoyed considerable prestige. Prestige means respect. I had never once been beaten so far. On the contrary, Master Ji had got me to beat the other boys. For a child of such status, standing there in the middle of the bazaar, eating jalebis? No, it wasn't right. I decided. I clenched the rupees. Clenched means gripped the rupees in my fist and came home. When the boy did not agree with the suggestion of one of those coins, the oldest coin, after some time, suggested that he should buy the jalebis with these 4 rupees, and anyways, the next day he was going to get his scholarship money. So with that scholarship money, he can pay the fees the next day. And so he'll get the jalebis also, some sweets with the fees money, and the scholarship money can be paid in turn for his fees. So that would be the end of the story. The boy was now confused. He thought that the suggestion was right, but it was also wrong, because he was from a very rich or a well-to-do family. But the mere thought of jalebis was also tempting him because they were crisp, fresh, and full of sweet syrup. But he tried to justify that he was one of the promising students, that is, one of the best students of the school. And in the fourth standard exams, he had won a scholarship of 4 rupees every month. He was never punished in the school. And so he thought that he was so much respected in his school and in his neighborhood that if in the middle of the bazaar he was caught eating jalebis, then what would people think? So he quietly came home with those coins. The coins were so keen on being spent that day, they kept up their attempts at persuasion. Persuasion means coaxing or trying to get to agree, till their voices began to choke. Choke means suffocate. When I reached home and sat on the bed, they began to speak. I went inside to have lunch. They began to shriek. Shriek means scream. Thoroughly fed up, I rushed out of the house barefoot. Barefoot means without footwear. And ran towards the bazaar. Terrified. Terrified means scared. I was. But quickly I told the halwai to weigh a whole rupee worth of jalebis. His astonished look, astonished means surprised, look seemed to be asking where I had the hand cart in which I would carry all those jalebis. Those were inexpensive times. 1 rupee fetched more than 20 rupees does nowadays. The halwai opened up a whole newspaper and heaped a pile of jalebis on it. When the boy came home, the coins were still speaking. They began to scream and shout as much as they could just to persuade the boy to buy those jalebis. And then the boy was completely fed up. So after having his lunch, he ran towards the bazaar without even wearing anything in his feet to buy those jalebis. He was scared, but then he told halwai to give him jalebis worth 1 rupee. And at that, the halwai was very surprised because he thought, where and how will he carry all those jalebis with him? Yet, he opened up a whole newspaper and gave him a pile of jalebis to eat. The narrator of this story is a schoolboy who studied in class 5th, and one day he was carrying his fees money in his pocket to the school. Master Ghulam Muhammad was the teacher who was supposed to collect the fees every month. But that day he hadn't come. So while going back home, when the narrator was crossing the jalebi shop, the coins began to shout, they began to scream. The coins wanted them to be spent on jalebis. The coins started talking and shouting to the narrator that he should have jalebis since he has money in his pocket. But the narrator was a very strong person. He did not want to get into all these things because he knew if he spent those 4 rupees today on jalebis, then what will he pay tomorrow as fees? And if he doesn't pay the fees, then he might be punished by the teacher. But one of the coins gave the narrator a very nice suggestion that he could buy jalebis today from these 4 rupees, and tomorrow when he gets the scholarship money, he can give that money in place of his fees. And the matter will be solved and nobody would even come to know. At first, the narrator again dismissed this idea. When the narrator reached home, he had his lunch, but the coins had not stopped talking. They were continuously after him to make him agree to buy jalebis out of it. Now, do you think the coins must have actually been speaking? No, they were not speaking. It was the narrator's imagination. It was the schoolboy's imagination because he was in a dilemma whether to buy or not, whether to spend that fees money on jalebis or not. So it was basically a dilemma between right and wrong. The narrator thought a lot about it because he was much respected in the school and in his neighborhood. He belonged to a rich family and he felt that it would be so embarrassing if he was caught doing something like this. What about his reputation in school and in his family? So at first he wasn't agreeing. But then later on he was so frustrated with this dilemma that he left his home and went to the jalebi shop and bought 1 rupee worth jalebi. In those times, things were not expensive. So in 1 rupee, he got a heap of jalebis, which the shopkeeper packed for him. Now let's see in part 2 what happens when he takes that jalebi and how does he face a situation which was unexpected. A heap of jalebis he eats and shares them liberally with one and all. Though penniless now, penniless means without money, he feels no less important than a mob leader. The real problem at hand is payment of school fees on time. Just as I was gathering up the heap, in the distance I spotted our Tonga. Tonga is a two-wheeled horse-drawn vehicle. Chacha Jan was returning from court. I clutched the jalebis to my chest and ran into a gully. A gully is a narrow lane. Gully is a Hindi word. When I reached a safe corner, I began to devour the jalebis. Devour means eat hungrily. I ate so many jalebis that if anyone pressed my stomach a little, jalebis would have popped out of my ears and nostrils. So as the boy gathered that heap of jalebis, he saw the Tonga which belonged to his family. A person whom he regarded as Chacha Jan, his uncle, was returning from court, and just then he fetched all the jalebis to his chest and ran into a narrow lane where he reached a safe corner. And on reaching there, he started to eat all those jalebis. And he ate so many jalebis hungrily that he was completely full till the neck. And there is this humor, there is this fun in this paragraph. And he says that if someone pressed his stomach even a little bit, then all the jalebis which are inside his stomach would have popped out. They would have come out from his ears and nostrils. So he was so full of jalebis that now he was exhausted. He was tired of eating them. Very quickly, boys from the entire neighborhood assembled in the gully. By that time, I was so pleased with my stomach full of jalebis that I got into the mood for some fun. I started handing out jalebis to the children around. Delighted, they ran off, jumping and screaming into the gullies. Soon a whole lot of other children appeared, probably having heard the good news from the others. I dashed to the halwai and bought 1 more rupee's worth of jalebis, came back and stood on the chabutra. Chabutra is a platform of one of the houses, liberally distributing jalebis to the children, just like the Governor Sahab used to distribute rice to the poor and needy on Independence Day. Now that the boy's stomach was full and he was completely satisfied, he saw a few boys which had come and assembled in that gully when they saw him eating the jalebis. And he started to hand over the rest of the jalebi to all the children around him. The children were delighted, they were happy, and they ran and jumped and started to scream in that gully on getting those jalebis. And then there were a lot other children who appeared who had heard about this news of distribution of jalebis. So the boy went back to that halwai and bought more jalebis of another rupee and started to distribute them to those little children who were gathered around. And at this point of time, he felt like that Governor Sahab who always distributes rice to the poor and needy on every Independence Day. By now, there was a huge mob of children around me. The beggars too launched an assault. Assault means attack. If children could be elected to the assembly, my success would have been assured that day. Because one little signal from my jalebi wielding hand refers to the hand that held jalebis. And the mob would have been willing to kill and get killed for me. I bought jalebis for the remaining 2 rupees as well and distributed them. Then I washed my hands and mouth at the public tap and returned home, putting on such an innocent face as if I hadn't even seen the hint of a jalebi all my life. Jalebis I had gobbled up. Gobbled means eaten quickly or greedily. easily enough, but digesting them became another matter. With every breath came a burp, and with every burp, the danger of bringing out a jalebi or two. The fear was killing me. At night, I had to eat my dinner as well. If I hadn't eaten, I would have been asked to explain why I did not want any food. And if I had pretended illness, the doctor would have summoned. Summoned means sent for or called. And if the doctor, after feeling my pulse, had declared, Munna has devoured a mound of jalebis, I would simply die. Now, after the children, there came beggars. They too wanted jalebis from the boy. But jalebis were now finished, so the boy went back to Halwai and bought more jalebis of the remaining 2 rupees. And at this point of time, he felt really important and wanted by everyone. So by now, he had finished all the 4 rupees that he had. After that, he washed his hands and mouth and went home with an innocent face, as if he had never even heard of jalebis throughout his life. Yes, he did eat so many jalebis, but now digesting them was another problem. He was burping throughout, and with every burp, he felt that 1 or 2 jalebi might come out of his mouth. And now he had to eat dinner also. If he hadn't eaten dinner, or if he had pretended some illness or stomachache, then the doctor would be called, and just in case the doctor declared the truth, then he would be punished by his parents. The result was that all night I lay coiled up like a jalebi, suffering a stomachache. Thank God I didn't have to eat all 4 rupees worth of jalebis by myself. Otherwise, as they say, when children speak, flowers shower from their mouths. But I would be the first child in the world with whose every word a crisp fried jalebi would come out. Children don't have stomachs, they have digestion machines. My machine too kept working right through the night. In the morning, just like any other day, I washed my face and like a virtuous student, virtuous means good and noble. With chalk and slate in hand, I headed for school. I knew I would get the previous month's scholarship that day, and once I had paid the fees with that amount, the jalebis would be completely digested. But when I got to school, I found out that the scholarship was going to be paid the following month. My head started to spin. After eating so many jalebis, the boy was really uncomfortable, and so he suffered a stomachache throughout the night. And this line is a humorous one that when children speak, flowers shower from their mouths. But he would be the first child in this world that when he'll speak, instead of flowers, jalebis would come out of his mouth. The next morning, he got ready for his school, and like a good student, he picked up a chalk and slate in hand and headed for the school. He knew that he would get previous month's scholarship that day, and with that money he would pay the fees. But unfortunately, he found out that the scholarship money would be paid in the next month, and now he began to have a headache. He began to get stressed about the fees money that he was going to pay. I felt as if I was standing on my head and could not get on to my feet again, even if I tried. Master Ghulam Mohammed announced that the fees would be taken during the recess. When the recess bell rang, I tucked my bag under my arm and left the school and simply followed my nose, walking on and on. If no mountain or ocean blocked my path, I would have kept going till the earth ended and the sky began. And once I got there, I would say to Allah Mia, just this once, save me. Order a farishta. Farishta means an angel, to pass by and drop just 4 rupees in my pocket. I promise I will use them only to pay my fees and not to eat jalebis. I couldn't reach the point where the earth ended, but definitely reach the point where the Kambalpur railway station began. The elders had warned me never to cross the railway tracks. Fine. The elders had also warned me that one must never eat sweets with one's fees money. How did this instruction escape my mind that day? I don't know. At this point of time, now the boy was tensed. He did not know what to do because the fees money was to be taken today and the scholarship money was postponed to the next month. Now his only tension was that how will he pay the fees money and from where will he get those 4 rupees. So in order to escape the punishment of Master Ghulam Muhammad, he left the school and he kept walking on and on. He felt like going to the end of this world and meet Allah Mia and tell him to order an angel to drop at least 4 rupees in his pocket. And he also promised that he'll never eat jalebis out of that 4 rupees but pay his fees. But unfortunately, that couldn't happen. He couldn't reach the end of the earth, but definitely he reached Kambalpur railway station. At this point of time, he was reminded of the instructions by the elders. They had warned him not to cross the railway tracks, but they had also warned him not to eat sweets with his fees money. And now he did not understand how that instruction escaped his mind and why did he do this. And he was completely stressed. Now that the narrator has bought so many jalebis, he gathered them up. But just as he was taking them from the shopkeeper, he saw a tonga in which one of his acquaintance, a Chachajan, was going. He was so scared that he just fetched all the jalebis and ran into a narrow lane just to hide himself. He sat there and he ate. He ate a lot of jalebis till his stomach was completely full and there was no scope of one more jalebi in it. Soon the narrator saw that he was surrounded by a lot of children. So he gave the remaining jalebis to the children and the children became so happy and screamed and jumped and they called other children as well. By then the jalebis had been finished. So he went back to the shop, bought more jalebis of 1 rupee and again distributed them to the children. Followed by the children came the beggars. So the narrator again went back to the shop, bought jalebis worth 2 rupees and distributed all those jalebis to the beggars and the children around him. At this point of time, he felt very important. He compared himself to the Governor Saab who used to distribute rice on every Independence Day and people used to surround him begging in front of him. He felt very important. But that was it. But then here he had finished all his 4 rupees on jalebis. After this, the situation became very difficult. It was difficult for him to digest those jalebis. He did not eat his dinner, and if he even complained of stomachache, then the doctor would have been called and the truth would have been out in front of his parents. So he kept quiet and adjusted with whatever he could. The next day morning, he went back to the school with the expectation that he'll get the scholarship money, and that scholarship money he can pay for the fees. But what happened was a big shock for him. It was announced that the scholarship money would be paid the next month. So on that day, the narrator did not have 4 rupees to pay his fees. Now he was in a fix. He was so scared of Master Ghulam Muhammad's cane that he ran away from the school and he walked on and on and on till he reached Kambalpur railway station. The narrator at this point of time was so regretting his mistake. But what could he do? It was already done. Now let's see in part 3 what happens next and how does he tackle this situation. Remorseful and scared. Remorseful means feeling sorry. He prays to God for monetary help. Monetary means regarding money. He makes matters look normal but prays harder than ever. The inevitable happens. Inevitable means unstoppable. Though somewhere along the way, he notices the divide between the fanciful and the factual. Fanciful means the dream world and factual means reality. There was a shade-giving tree beside the railway tracks. I sat under it and wondered whether there could possibly be a more unfortunate child than me in this world. When the coins had first created a racket in my pocket, racket means uproar or loud noise. The entire matter seemed so simple and straightforward. Eat jalebis with the fees money and then pay the fees with the scholarship money. I thought that 2 and 2 added up to 4 and could never be 5. How was I to know that sometimes it added up to 5 as well? Had I known that I would get the scholarship the next month, I would have postponed my jalebi eating program to the next month as well. Now, for the crime of eating a few jalebis, for the first time in my life, I was absent from school and crouching in the shade of a tree. Crouching means sitting in a deserted corner. Deserted means neglected. Of the railway station. Hiding there under the tree, at first I felt like crying. The boy was now very unhappy. He sat under a tree beside the railway track and was thinking what to do. Initially, it seemed very easy for him that he could eat jalebis with the fees money and then pay the fees with the scholarship money. But had he known that the scholarship money would be postponed to the next month, he would have also postponed his jalebi eating to the next month. And now, for the first time, he was absent from the school. He had bunked the school and he was sitting, hiding in the shade of a tree in a deserted corner of the railway station. And now he's just felt like crying. Then I felt like laughing when it struck me that the tears I was shedding were not tears but drops of jalebi syrup. From the jalebis, my thoughts went to the fees, and from fees to Master Ghulam Muhammad's cane, and from his cane I thought of God. I closed my eyes and began to pray. Allah Mia, I am a very good boy. I have memorized the entire namaz. I even know the last 10 surats of the Quran by heart. Surats are the verses from the Holy Quran. If you wish, I can recite the entire Ayat al-Kursi for you just now. Ayat al-Kursi is a title of a verse in the Holy Quran. The need of your devoted servant is only the fees money that I ate the jalebis with. So, all right, I admit I made a mistake. I didn't eat them all by myself, though I fed them to a whole lot of children too. But yes, it was a mistake. If I had known the scholarship money would be given next month, I would neither have eaten them nor fed them to the others. Now you do one thing. Just put 4 rupees in my bag. If there's a paisa more than 4 rupees, I will be very displeased with you. I promise, if I ever eat sweets with my fees money again, then let a thief's punishment be my punishment. So Allah Mia, just this once, help me out. There is no shortage of anything in your treasury. The beginning paragraph brings out some fun or humor in the story when the boy says that his tears also seemed like jalebi syrup because from the jalebis his thoughts went to the fees and from fees his thoughts went to Master Ghulam Muhammad's cane and from that cane he was reminded of God and so he closed his eyes and began to pray. He told the God that he had memorized the entire namaz and he knew 10 verses of Quran. He admitted that he had made a mistake. He shouldn't have spent those 4 rupees in eating jalebis. Although he did not eat all of them by himself, he had distributed to others also, yet it was a mistake. So all he wanted was that God should give him 4 rupees and then never will he commit this kind of a mistake ever. And he promised that if ever he did this again, he should be punished like a thief. Even our chaprasi takes a whole lot of money home every month. And Allah ji, after all, I am the nephew of a big officer. Won't you give me just 4 rupees? After the prayer, I offered namaz, recited 10 surats, Ayat al-Kursi, Kalma-e-Tayyab, in fact everything that I remembered. Then I blew over my back saying choo. Choo is the sound of blowing over the back to ward off evil. Then after saying Bismillah, Bismillah is in the name of God. These are the words spoken before starting something. I realized that what they said was only true. No one can erase what fate has decreed. Decreed means a law, stated like a law. Forget 4 rupees. There weren't even 4 paise in my bag. Just a few textbooks and notebooks, one pencil, one sharpener, one Eid card my mamu had sent me last Eid. So now the boy started to pray hard. He wanted only 4 rupees from Allah, for which he offered namaz, he recited 10 surahs and other prayers, and after the prayers, he blew over his back, trying to ward off the evil spirits, the bad spirits. And then, with Bismillah, he thought he should open his bag and check whether he has even a single paisa. But there was none. All he had in it were some textbooks, notebooks, a pencil, a sharpener, and one Eid card which his mamu or uncle had sent him on the last Eid. I felt like crying as loudly as I could, but then I remembered that school must have ended and the children must be on their way home. Tired and defeated, I got up from there and walked to the bazaar and waited for the school bell to ring so that when the children came out, I too would walk home with them as if I had come straight from school. I didn't even realize that I was standing near the jalebi wala's shop. Suddenly the halwai called out, "Kyun bhai? Shall I weigh a rupee's worth? Don't want jalebis today?" I felt like saying I won't eat your jalebis today, but I'd sure like to roast your liver and eat that instead. But I wasn't feeling too well that day, so I simply moved away. The next day I did the same thing. I got dressed and left home. I went up to the school gate and then turned off to the railway station. Under the same tree I sat and began to say the same prayers. I repeatedly pleaded. Pleaded means requested. Allah Mia, at least give it to me today. Today is the second day. Once the boy was done with his prayers, he remembered that now the time of the school was about to be over, and so he went back to the school gate so that he could walk with his friends and reach home. So it would seem to his parents that he was coming straight from school. Now he did not realize at the school gate he was standing near Jalebi Wala's shop, and just then Jalebi Wala offered him some more jalebis that day. But the boy was so disgusted that instead of eating jalebis, he wanted to roast the shopkeeper's liver and eat that instead. That was a humor created in this line. But he did not answer anything and he just simply moved away from that point. The next day again he did the same thing. He got dressed, left his home, but instead of going to the school, he went to the railway station where again he prayed under the same tree and asked for the same 4 rupees from Allah Mia again. Now that was the second day. Then I said, "All right, come, let's play a game. I'll go from here to that signal. You secretly place 4 rupees under this big rock. I will touch the signal and come back. What fun it will be if I pick up the rock and find 4 rupees underneath. So are you ready? I'm going towards the signal. 1, 2, 3. I went up to the signal and returned smiling. But I could not find the courage to pick up the rock. What if the coins were not there? But then I thought, what if they were? Finally, after saying Bismillah, when I lifted up the rock, this big hairy worm got up and curling and twisting wriggled towards me. I screamed and ran away and once again touched the signal. Now in this paragraph, the boy starts talking to the God and he tells the God that they will play a game where he will go towards the signal, he will not look back, and in the meantime, the God should place 4 rupees under a big rock which was there. So believing that it would happen, the author went up to the signal and returned smiling. He had both the thoughts in his mind. What if the coins were there? And what if they weren't? But then finally, after saying Bismillah in his language, he lifted up the rock in sheer excitement that his prayers must be answered. But instead of 4 rupees, he saw a hairy worm which suddenly got up and started to curl and twist and started coming towards him. The boy was so scared that he ran away and once again touched the signal. Then, crawling on my hands and knees, I reached the tree. I tried my best not to let my eyes stray towards the rock, but as I picked up my bag and was about to leave, I had to look once again at the rock. And do you know what I saw there? I saw Mr. Worm coiled on it, comfortably staring at me. The boy was scared of this worm, so he quietly crawled on his hands and knees and was trying to fetch his bag to get his bag so that he could leave from there. But one last time he again wanted to pick up the rock just to see whether there was money or not. And the moment he tried to do that, he again saw that Mr. Worm, coiled so comfortably, was staring at him. I walked away, thinking, tomorrow I will do wuzu. Wuzu is ablution, which means washing face, hands, and feet before praying. Wear clean clothes and come here. From morning to noon, I will keep reading the namaz. If even after that Allah doesn't give me 4 rupees, I'll be forced to learn how to strike bargains or make deals with him. After all, if my Allah does not give me my 4 rupees, then who will? That day when I returned home, apparently from school and actually from the railway station, I was caught. The report of my absence had reached home. It's useless to relate what happened after that. Well, whatever happened, happened. But up to the 7th or 8th standard, I kept wondering, if Allah Mia had sent me 4 rupees that day, what harm could it have possibly caused anyone? It was only later that I came to the conclusion that if Allah Mia were to provide all for the asking, then man would, even today, be living in nests like vultures and crows and would not have learnt the art of making jalebis. After the encounter with the worm, the boy walked away home. Then he thought that the next day he'll come back again, and after washing his face, hands, and feet, he will sit, pray, and read the entire namaz. And even after this, if Allah doesn't give him 4 rupees, then he will learn to make bargains or deals with him. But that day was a difficult day for him, because when he returned home, the report of his absence had already reached his parents. The parents knew that he had not been attending the school for the past 2 days. And on hearing this news, whatever his parents must have done, we all can imagine. But up till the 7th or the 8th standard, the author hated Allah Mia for not giving him 4 rupees that day. And only later, when he grew up, he came to the conclusion that if Allah Mia or if God would give everything which the man asks for, then the man would be so lazy that he wouldn't have learnt the art of making jalebis. In other words, that if God grants every human's wish, then the human being will not learn to work hard towards his goal. He would never make a mistake and also never learn the lessons of life. At the railway station, the narrator sat under a tree in the shade, thinking what to do. He felt like crying because he had made a mistake which he had never thought of, and now he doesn't know how to reverse it. So he started praying to Allah Mia, the God of Muslims. But only thing is that the God should give him just 4 rupees so that he could pay the fees and get out of this problem. The next day came up. But that day, instead of going to school, he straight away went to the same railway station's tree. He sat there and then he again prayed to God. But then again, the God did not listen. He still did not get 4 rupees and wanted to play a game with the God. So he told God that he'll go from there, he'll touch the signal, and before he comes back, the God should have placed those 4 rupees under a stone. The moment he picked up the stone, instead of finding 4 rupees, he found a big hairy worm which wriggled and wanted to come towards it. Disappointed, he picked up his bag and went back home. But there was something more in store. All bad luck comes together, isn't it? But when he returned home, he came to know that the parents were already been reported about his absence for the past 2 days. And after that, what must have happened, we can only imagine. In the last paragraph of this chapter, the narrator says that till class 7th and 8th, he hated God. He couldn't have forgiven the God for not fulfilling his wish. But it's only at the later point of time that he realizes that if God fulfills each and every man's wish, then will a man ever work hard? Will a man ever understand what the life is about and what is important for him to go through the life hardships? No. This is what is exactly the moral of the story. So finally, in this experience of jalebis, the narrator realizes the lesson taught by God to him. And it says, look before you leap. It means that whatever we want to do in life, we should be very careful about its future consequences. So before we take decision, we should analyze it properly, whether we are deciding on right thing or the wrong thing. Because life cannot be reversed. And decisions once taken cannot be reversed also. So if our plan fails, then we should not suffer a lot. One must be confident, but one should not be overconfident. And this lesson also teaches us that we cannot blindly depend on prayers, because God helps those who helps themselves. So with this beautiful moral and this wonderful interesting story, which I end my session. And at the end of this session, I will flash the question answers in front of you. You can note them down or read them through. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Best wishes. God bless you.